This is the United Uprising channel. Welcome to today's show. I covered the movie Leave the World Behind. A lot of you have been asking me for an entire breakdown of that movie that was released, that was produced by Barack Obama's production company. I have that link below if you haven't seen it yet. This video, I want to talk about that movie and, of course, the connection to Friends, because the movie really, the theme of the movie kind of has an undertone with the movie Friends. Now, there's no coincidences in the world that occur. I'm sorry, there's no such thing, especially when it comes to Hollywood, sacrifice, witchcraft. There's no coincidences. So if you believe in coincidences, you're probably somebody that believes Santa Claus is real and isn't somehow connected to Satan, okay? In the movie, they use the theme of Friends, of course, to show you the dystopian reality that a lot of our society is living in while the world's burning around them, that the child is constantly looking for answers inside of the movie Friends. Not really answers, looking to escape the hellish reality that the child lives in. Of course, the child is representing the adults in today's society because we have adults behaving as children, which is why we're in this mess. Very narcissistic, entitled children. Wearing his NASA shirt, of course, which was just more symbolism, showing you these idiots that believe in space and everything else that's been indoctrinated and ingrained in them. And it's time to break away from that programming. It's time to realize that all of these people in Hollywood are in the occult. All of them. There's no way around it. Satanism and witchcraft is running rampant, and they are spellcasting on the masses. Throughout history, these people have been dealt with and taken care of until now. Now they're actually the ones who are worshipped by the masses, so it's impossible to get it through their brain that these people believe in witchcraft. But I'm going to show you a connection with Leave the World Behind that some people probably don't know about the show Friends. So is it a coincidence that Matthew Perry just recently died? And of course, they just released the news of his death. It was some type of drug overdose. Is that a coincidence? Well, of course it's not a coincidence, since the movie revolves around Friends. And you might remember, let's start here. Anthony Bourdain, who I covered when he was sacrificed by his girlfriend, who was a high-ranking witch. That video is available on the website if you haven't seen it. Bourdain was a sacrificial offering, but Bourdain, of course, was a member of these secret societies as well. See, if you're a member of these secret societies, people don't understand. They kill each other off. They make sacrifices. I always compare it to have disagreements within your own family. Don't you have disagreements with people that you go to church with or see at church? Of course you do. Well, it's the same thing. It's human nature. So Anthony Bourdain once tweeted out, during the commercial break for Friends, the entire cast would chant, "Hail Satan, hail Satan." Little known fact, I saw it in the internet. Now, of course, people take that as a joke. They look at these things as if it's a joke, and he's like, he's just trolling, he's just messing around. But actually, there's truth to it. So we can start with some of the stuff that I covered about Matthew Perry talking about the deal he made, really making a deal with the devil, because you don't make deals with God. God doesn't give you fame and fortune if you make a deal with him. The deal God makes with you is the covenant through Christ, which is eternal life through faith in Christ, through the blood of Jesus Christ. Matthew Perry did not make a deal with God. He actually prayed for fame and fortune, which tells us that he made a deal with the devil.
The first time in my life, I knelt down and prayed. And that prayer was, please, God, make me famous. You can do anything you want to me. Just make me famous. 3 weeks later, I got Friends, and God did not forget about the second part. I mean, I had the American dream happen to me. I got the great job. I was good at it. I bought a house. The house had a pool, and I really, really liked it.
The first time I prayed, and it was the first time, and then I knelt down and said, God, you can do whatever you want to me. Just please make me famous.
So when we hear Matthew Perry say he made a deal with the devil, then you start realizing, well, the deal was up because they come to collect. That's what happens with Robin Williams. It happens with all of them. They come to collect. And when they collect, those people end up being the offerings, right? These are the same people in the Old Testament that were giving their own children as sacrifices to Baal. So Julia Roberts is the main character in this movie, right? Julia Roberts once dated Matthew Perry. Julia Roberts once starred on the show Friends with Matthew Perry. And of course, Julia Roberts is another person in Hollywood who is a witch and also portrays witches in movies, because you'll notice a pattern here I'm about to show you with witchcraft, sorcery, summoning demons with all of these women, all of these people. Julia Roberts played in the movie Mirror Mirror. And what was her character? Well, her character showed that the evil witch who she was portraying was the real hero of Snow White. Because their job is to subtly make the wicked people in the world into good people. So they portray the witch, and then everybody wants to be the witch or likes the witch. Oh, the witch is really the victim. That's what Julia Roberts did in here. Right? Just like the TV show Lucifer. Lucifer in the show is depicted as the good guy. This is the upside down we're living in now. And all of these people who are placed in positions in Hollywood are all related to each other. They're all in the occult. There's connections to all of them, whether it's playing roles directly or things like I'm about to show you. Now, I covered this before. Jennifer Aniston, coincidentally, right? Yeah, Matthew Perry just dies. Movie comes out. Julia Roberts has played a witch before, is a witch in real life, and so are all the other people on Friends. Jennifer Aniston has come out and talked about her goddess circles and performing rituals, right? But nobody thinks twice about this because they tie in witchcraft with feminism. Okay, feminism is almost a form of witchcraft in today's society, empowering women. These women are getting brainwashed into feminism, being told that being a mom isn't a job and being told that men are wicked. This is all part of witchcraft, and they pretend that this has to do with women empowerment, women's empowerment. She's openly telling you she's in a goddess circle doing witchcraft and then trying to tie it into how all women need to stick together. This is how they put everybody under a hypnosis. Listen.
When you moved out there, you were introduced to the goddess circle? Is that right?
Yes. Well, it is a circle. So I landed, gorgeous shoes, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I came to I knew one person, my one friend Meredith. We had she went to high school at LaGuardia Performing Arts, and we moved. She was already had friends out here, and so I'd go to a party in Laurel Canyon. Small little house party.
It's near Pache.
It's right near Pache.
I love Pache.
Exactly. Used to be the Coyote, though, back in the 90s.
And then it became Pache?
Pizza.
Oh, they still have great pizza.
Coyote moved into the valley.
It did?
But
Do they still do the salmon on the plank?
Remember the salad that all
Oh, I
the
remember
pregnant
the
women
salad
would have? They were
Yes,
overdue.
I remember all the pregnant
and
women having
it. That they were overdue. Anyway.
Wait, to talk about the goddess circle, because I'm not from LA and I don't know what you mean.
Yes, we're just inside baseball. So I went and I met all these girls. A couple weeks later, they're like, "Do you want to come to a circle?" And I was like, "I don't know what a circle is." And so
Is it like a pot circle?
No.
No.
But they're all in these.
what
They
I
were all in flowy white, gowns, and there was a lot of crystals in the center, and it was a circle, and you had to walk into. I was about to go sit in it, and they was like, "No. You have to walk in through the four directions, east, the west, and north." And they had saged you before you got in. I was like, I've seriously landed in California at this point. I was a city girl. I didn't, that's not what we were familiar with.
Circles,
right.
I didn't sage much, but yeah. So, but that's what we do, and it's just it's basically like a support group. And we're in the circle with 20 women and that you don't know, and then by the end of the 3 hours, you're in tears.
And then you're cured?
I don't know what, you just feel really incredible.
Oh, good.
And it's just about, and that I think sort of launched my love of, I've always loved women and our connections, but then I met some of the greatest friends I've had since, for over 30 years.
Yeah, you're like a long-term.
Oh yeah,
You're a lifer.
I'm a lifer.
Yeah. I like that. I like that about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And women need to support each other
Yep.
and not compete. No compete.
There's room for
everybody.
everyone.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, we also had Courtney Cox, right? Courtney Cox looking like a punching bag these days, but Courtney Cox popping up on television shows talking about summoning spirits, summoning demons, right? And everybody goes, oh, that's just mediums. That's normal type of stuff, right? Even talks about buying the home of Carole King. Carole King, another witch, who, of course, where do we see Carole King? Well, Carole King's around all these celebrities. You probably never heard of Carole King. You're like, who's that? I don't know who that witch is. Right? Well, because you don't know a lot of these people behind the scenes that aren't prominent. They're the high-ranking priestesses and sorcerers, right? And you see Carole King, of course, with about 2 feet hovering over it is Mrs. Taylor Swift, right? Mr. Whatever you want to call it. Got a couple feet on it, but of course, there's a connection with all of these people because this is a witch's circle. It's a coven in Hollywood, okay? And they're spell casting on the masses. That is why this chaos is going on. Okay, Satan is the author of confusion. This world is completely upside down and confused, and you could thank the people in Hollywood. I've warned about this for years, and everyone's like, you only talk about Hollywood because it gets clicks. No, not true at all, actually. Well, in the past it wasn't, that's for sure. No, because Hollywood is where the influencers come from. They're influencing the behavior of society. That's the problem. Nobody's following the influence of certain politicians, how they dress, how they act, how they talk. Okay, they're the ones who are pretending to be passing all these laws, et cetera, and pretending to work for us when in fact they're just puppets for the globalists and doing the bidding of them, pretending that, they're all sellouts who are pretending they're working for us. The celebrities are the ones poisoning the behavior through the music, through how they live their lives and then post it on social media so that you see it and think this is how they live. Oh, and they're so nice and they're so loving and they're so kind. And of course, in reality, they're doing the most wicked rituals imaginable. So here's Courtney Cox on TV talk.
You're on record as saying you lived in a house in, I don't know, Laurel Canyon somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a home you bought years ago. You bought it from Carole King.
Mm-hmm. Well,
lived
I think
there.
Yeah, Carole King lived there. Gypsy Rose Lee.
And you've been in interviews and you've said, I lived in a house that was haunted. Do you really believe in ghosts and that your house was haunted? I want to know the truth.
Okay, I really didn't believe in ghosts, but that scared me when that many people had seen spirits and stuff in the house, and then just out of the blue, not people, that no one was, the guy wasn't staying in the house. He just rang the doorbell and saw one standing behind me. So that was, but I did
Wait
recently,
a second.
Yeah.
Some guy rang your doorbell.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you said to the guy, hey, have you heard that this house is haunted?
No, I didn't. The doorbell rang. I went to it. It was a UPS guy or Federal Express, whatever it was. And I answered it, got my package, and he said, do you know this house is haunted? And I go, really? Why? He goes, because there's someone standing behind you. And I thought, oh, shit.
Do I have it right that you then called Carole King, the former owner of the house, and had her come over and held a seance with her to get rid of the ghosts first?
You know what? She came over before that. And I
Right.
didn't really believe, but she's such a cool lady. And I was so in awe of her that we did have a seance. I guess that was what you called it. We held hands, we sat around, and I just wasn't really connected to it. I just kept looking at her like, this is Carole King.
Some of them didn't look that welcoming. I mean, some of them looked a little like what I would imagine the devil to look like.
So you can pretty much find a connection with all of these women on the show, connected to witchcraft and sorcery, etc. Of course, Julia Roberts' connection to it. So these things are not coincidental. When somebody gets sacrificed, okay, they're never going to tell you that. And they're going to just use their basic things where they go, hey, that's a crazy conspiracy theory, and automatically people dismiss it. And these things are always right in front of our faces. They could have picked any show in the movie that they wanted to pick to be the movie or the thing that the child was constantly looking for to see the ending of. Okay, they obviously chose that for a reason. They chose Friends. And whenever they do these things, this is messaging between them and one another, not us. You're not supposed to get it. And for the people who do get it, all they do is call you a nut job, a conspiracy theorist, and then they silence you on the internet for exposing them as witches because they're afraid, and that's what they've always feared about me. They're afraid that they're going to be not just outed, that people are going to rise up against them and their powers are going to be taken away because they hold this influential power over everybody. The fact that people worship them is so important to them and to their spell casting. People don't realize that. And I obviously have an uncanny way, I guess, from what I've been told, to humiliate these people or these demons for what they truly are. And I've embarrassed them. And that's not the purpose of what I do my channel. I do it to show you. I just talk to you like I talk on the phone to my friends. I mean, I find these things repulsive. I don't, they're not human, right? And they look like utter fools if you actually start seeing what they really are. But they don't want you to see what they really are. They don't want to, it's like the wicked witches, right? They want to be seen as beautiful. They don't want you to see that they're really their faces are really covered with warts, right? Well, that's what these things are. They constantly transform. They transform their faces. They do all this stuff right in front of us, talking about witchcraft and spellcasting, and nobody sees it, right? So clearly there is a tie-in with the film, of course, with Julia Roberts having a relationship with Matthew Perry. And the whole film, the underlying theme is that people, the people of the world are going to turn to their tech and turn to all these things. And like I said, I break the whole movie down in my other video. It's linked below. If you haven't clicked yet, make sure you do so now and you watch that video so you can see all the tie-ins and connections. But there's a reason that was chosen, of course. And again, it's all about ritual sacrifice. I always use this clip from The Believers, okay? When the time comes, they have to make their offering, their ritual sacrifice offering.
Of course you're uncertain, Cal. Naturally, so was I, till I met him. But now imagine, if you can, a life without uncertainty, freedom from doubt, the ability to choose, single-mindedness.
One life from each of us, Cal, is all he asks. And he rewards our devotion 1,000-fold.
Personal desires, oh yes, of course, anything. That's part of it.
It's only the beginning.
There was a time, Cal, when man was at one with the gods before the fall. Now we're at one again. And their benediction is power. It's a power you can't imagine. Power to create a world of our choosing. Power to destroy those who oppose us.
We want you to join us.
Create this ground. With this Father's humble offering, we seek the strength and wisdom of our benefactors.
We call upon the ancient gods to renew our strength and guide your hand to strike down the enemies of our faith and of this great nation.
We welcome our brother Cal, reborn into your grace.
Ayawaladama,
the power which is our birthright,
Herabanya,
the glory which is our destiny. Our enemies consumed by winds of fire. Our strength reborn in sacrifice.
Identity, Sonina. Monsai identity, Sonina.
So, of course, none of these things are coincidental, and nobody notices it because you have to actually break down the patterns. You have to show all of them talking in separate random interviews about sages, witchcraft, goddess circles, right? Summoning demons, summoning spirits. Julia Roberts playing an evil witch who should really be a good guy. They're all playing witches, right? They're playing witches in movies, but they're witches in real life. This isn't make-believe in fantasy land. The ones who think it is, the mind control's been laid on too thick. The spell casting and idol worship has been laid on too thick. But for those of us with eyes to see and ears to hear, we see through the devil's lies and we see all his minions and they fear us because it's really easy to see and break them down. They lose their power. None of them are famous because they're better looking than you or me or anyone else. None of them are famous because they're more talented. This right here, acting is a part of spell casting. Movies and film are a part of hypnosis. That's what it is. These people have been placed in these positions through bloodlines, through association with one another. They're all related technically to one another, whether they're direct cousins or second cousins or brothers and sisters. All of them. It's a giant coven who are casting spells on you. And if people realize that, their power over you fades quickly. Okay? These people have no talent whatsoever. There is no real talent to anything that they do. But, 200 years ago, nobody knew what movies were and any of this stuff. They think it was ridiculous. In our society, it's the most important. Movies, this. People turn to movies so they could relive their childhood. Movies. It's conditioning and programming. And these are the witches and the Satanists who are responsible for doing it to their audience. So when they do stuff like this, they're showing you connections between the coincidental death of Matthew Perry, which sounds more and more every day like a sacrifice, of course, because they come out and of course everyone's going to believe that he had an overdose. Why wouldn't they believe it? Because they go, well, he had a drug problem in the past. Oh, okay. So now he had an overdose because he had a drug problem in the past, right? Just like these other people, like Linkin Park and these other musicians that I covered in years past, was those videos on the website too, who, they just, they had this weird fetish where they wanted to put a belt around their necks. You're like, what? Yeah, they were just getting their jollies off and they were strangling themselves. Oh, okay. And they got kids and what? They were risking it so they could get their jollies off real fast. People believe whatever they hear. Whatever they hear. They sacrifice one another. Their time gets called. Their time ends up being up. Robin Williams, another perfect example. Prince is a perfect example, where all the connections are there, where you could really see that it's a sacrifice. Well, this one here, this is almost like they paid homage to it. Because everybody out there was subtly, even the mainstream media was covering it. They're like, isn't it eerie that that shows about the world ending, blah, blah, blah. Matthew Perry just died. Julia Roberts was in a relationship with Matthew Perry. She's the main star of the movie. No, it's not a coincidence because this is how it works. But nobody understands how it works because you've been misled and lied to your whole life. You think that these people are wonderful people and they're there because they're talented, because they worked hard. They're spell casting on you. They tell you that witchcraft isn't real. Even Christians who read the Bible don't think it's real. It is real. These people summon, and they're not people, they're demons. They summon spirits. They spell cast on their audience. And look at our society now. Who are the ones who have spell cast on the audience, right? Look at all the connections I just showed you, just basic ones, right? You got Courtney Cox talking about Carole King with Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift, the person of the year. The probably most influential person out there. And you know something big's coming with Taylor Swift? Whether she is the one that reveals that she's the opposite gender out public, or he reveals opposite gender out publicly to make people more accepting. There's an agenda. There's a reason they're promoting her. Not because nobody even knows Taylor Swift songs, for crying out loud. These people don't even realize why they're fanatics of Taylor Swift. All of a sudden, they just turn the light switch on because something's coming with Taylor Swift. And they're going to make you accept whatever agenda Taylor Swift pushes, whether it's switching genders and saying that, they try that stuff with like Demi Lovato, but Taylor Swift would cause hysteria and they'd make everybody accept it if you don't accept it. It's going to be something big, right? And Taylor Swift, just like Courtney Cox, just like Jennifer Aniston, all of them tie-ins to witchcraft. Whether they're playing witches in movies, people are like, that's not, they're like, that doesn't mean that they're a witch. Oh yeah, why is every movie about witches? Every Disney movie is about magic and witches. Every one. Find me one. You can throw me a couple. You can throw me like The Lion King. There's still agendas in there, right? With sacrifice and the king. There's still religious undertones in all of them. But there's specifically the majority of them are about magic apples, magic slippers, right? Magic rose, Beauty and the Beast. Right? It's a mass indoctrination of witchcraft and sorcery. But they're all involved in it. So when you look at it and you go, well, Julia Roberts has played a witch. Doesn't mean she's a witch. She's a witch. They're all witches. That's why all the movies are about witches. They want you to think that it's not real. And then they're using subtle methods of mind control to convince you that the way they live and all this stuff are the right way to go. And then eventually they'll reveal they're witches and they'll just give it a new name. They don't have to call themselves witches, right? Even though some of these celebrities like Lana Del Rey, I've covered all, admit to being witches. Jennifer Aniston just admitted to being a witch, right? But you see how it ties into the agendas with feminism, with love and tolerance. This is all, it's a giant spell being cast. And everybody's getting herded into it, and they don't want to believe it. Well, believe it, and separate yourself from these false idols. Realize what they are, realize what they've done to humanity. They deserve the worst, and we know they're going to get the worst when our king returns. I thank everybody for being here. Again, make sure you watch that other video. If you've asked, a lot of people keep asking me about that and the Civil War movie. I've covered them all. When they come out, I cover them immediately. They're all in my videos. Just go through my archive. You don't get all the notifications because I upload so much content. And again, if you're somebody who wants to support the channel, you could obviously become a Patreon. That's linked below. I do put out more content than most people could ever imagine putting out. I put more content out in a day than some people put out in a week. I work as hard as I possibly can. So if you want to, you can. That way, you could also consider joining the website, uprisingrevival.com. It's $2.99 a month. It's troll-free, it's ad-free, and it is unlimited, uncensored content, as well as the forum itself, which is worth the price just to join to be a part of the forum and share information, interact with other people. You'll find real news over there, not the crap that gets fed to you in your news feeds on Facebook, Twitter, etc. So I hope to see you on the website, uprisingrevival.com. Thanks for being here, everybody. God bless you as always, and your families.